Hey guys, how's it going? So I am Austin. If you've been following Mountain Buff for a while now, I'm sure my face looks familiar. I'm one of the agents here. Today, we've actually got a really cool guest I'm excited about. We've been friends since kindergarten. Yeah, so lifelong friends. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name's JT Bradshaw. I am out of Chicago, Illinois. Like Austin said, we grew up together, starting in kindergarten, same kindergarten class. I guess we're going to go into my journey into real estate. It's been about 3 years now since I kind of stepped in the industry in various different roles. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming. It's going to be awesome. So majority of what we do here at Mountain Buff is residential. Like I would say that's 95% of what we do. I personally have only helped with residential. I know Peyton, our broker, he has done commercial deals in the past, but that's why I wanted you to come on here because you are in commercial real estate. And I want people to see, what does that look like from day to day? What is required or not required to get in there? And what's that journey look like to start a career like that? So with that said, how did you get to where you are now? What does your background look like?
Okay. I went to college for marketing, and I was really gung-ho about doing that. I had a change of heart, I guess, my senior year of college, and I actually decided that I would go into the military after I graduated. So after graduating, I went to the Army, and I spent 4 years in the Army. And
you were captain, by the way, right?
Yeah. Most of my time was lieutenant, but
okay.
yeah.
No,
yeah.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah. I was an officer, right? Because when you graduate with the bachelor's, you get to go in as a lieutenant instead of, if you enlist out of high school, you start at private. So
I see.
I loved the Army. I absolutely loved it, but got out after 4 years, came back home, and was going to use my marketing degree. And so I started taking interviews. By the time I got out of the Army, like you said, I was in a pretty large leadership role. I was second in command to 130 guys. I, was direct line supervisor to 3, 4, 5 guys. And so I had a lot of leadership responsibility, and these roles that I was interviewing for in marketing were entry level, and it was a huge pay cut, and just felt, for lack of better terms, beneath me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I could do more.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
So I kept denying these job opportunities, and I don't know how many came across that I didn't either like or wasn't, didn't pay enough or didn't get or whatever it was. Eventually I just said, okay, I need to start paying bills again.
Yeah.
So I took a property management job with a family friend. He owned a property management company, and I took a job under him. And in my mind, it was always temporary. Like, this is what I would do to pay bills until I can find the job in Chicago, a corporate job that I would love.
Big city job.
Big city corporate type of thing. And so I got started. I started in February of 2020, which coincidentally was when COVID happened. So all these programs that we're doing, like transition, like veteran to corporate America programs. A lot of companies do that, big companies, consulting companies. All those programs were the first thing to get cut from their budget. So it's all these veteran assistance, transition programs, we're done with them. So my temporary property management gig turned into kind of a full-time job, and no one was hiring, no one was looking. And I was like, oh gosh. So, I had the property management job for a while. Learned a tremendous amount about real estate. This was all commercial though, but it was through that that I became a broker. So in Illinois, it's different. They call all agents brokers.
Yep.
And then they call what you guys call a broker a managing broker. So I became an agent or broker.
Okay.
And I started doing that along with property management. And through that job, one of our clients that we managed 6, 7 of his properties, just a real estate investor, developer in the area. I'd kind of gotten to know him a little bit here and there over the course of a couple months, and he asked me to meet him at one of his properties, and he was going to make me the listing broker for that property. It was a 72,000 square foot. There's 2 buildings. One that's 43, one that's 27,000 square foot.
72,000 square foot. Holy cow.
One-story office buildings. And he
That's
was gonna
insane.
make me the broker on that. It wasn't performing well. There was a lot of vacancies and stuff like that. So he brought me down there, and I said, "Hey, look, I'm not super happy with my role and what I'm doing. I'm not, super passionate about what I'm doing. I'm probably going back to the Army." And he thought that was super interesting. So I kind of said, "Give this to somebody else, because my heart's not in this. I'm probably gonna leave." And he said, "Okay, well, let's talk about your goals. Let's talk about, what are your financial goals? What are your family goals? All this sort of stuff." And we had a really good talk that day. And he said, "Well, let's meet tomorrow, and I have kind of a proposition for you." And we met the next day for lunch, and he talked about his plans. And he's got a very large portfolio in the Chicago area. He's, I think, systematically trying to get out of Illinois to go to Florida. He's doing more, trying to push all of his assets to Florida and do more developing in Florida, and looking for someone to kind of manage his portfolio here / systematically take it over in some capacity. And he basically said, "Hey, let's, come work for me, and, I'll kind of teach you about being a real estate investor. And, we can start with this building, the building that we met at in St. Charles. I can, let's do owner financing of this building. I'll give you, I'll pay you to be my personal assistant for, a while, and you follow me and shadow me. And, with the eventual possibility of buying that building from him, one of those St. Charles buildings from him, through owner financing."
Yeah.
And so I said, "Wow, that's really interesting." It was like doubled my salary from my previous job. And I was his personal assistant for a while, and, just responding to his emails and doing all sorts of stuff. A lot of busy work, a lot of things, but it was really fun. And I guess it was like after probably a year and a half, I did that. And then I kind of learned a tremendous amount of, being an owner, being an investor. And
Can I pause you right there?
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So just before that, so he offers you this position. You said it doubles your salary. I would consider that like your breakout point, like your breakout into commercial real estate. Like you can see future in it. So leading up to that, you got a major in marketing, went into the Army. To get into property management, you just had to take, an agent course and test, right?
Yeah.
Didn't really have to have your marketing degree. And then, so the question is, why do you think he was ready to turn things over to you? He just like trusted you. Why did you get that offer? What things led up to that? And don't be humble.
That's a good question. Like I said, I started to get to know him, over the course of several months before that meeting with him. Gosh, I think a lot of it's just, honestly, it's how you carry yourself. It's Can you talk to people? Are you kind? Are you, can you carry on a conversation? Can you go to a, lunch meeting, at the country club and get a wine and talk to these guys and like carry on a conversation and, show a little bit of intelligence and ask good questions and that sort of stuff. And I think that's a big part of it. I think he just, trusted me to do a good job. I think I had shown him some skills that I had, like some technology, suggestions that I had for some of his properties, try to like update systems better to kind of manage it better and easier. I was trying to push softwares on him and all this different stuff. And I think he just saw like, okay, a lot of the guys, property managers and companies I work with are a little bit old school. And
weren't you automating some things? I think,
I was really trying to automate a lot of what the company that I was working for was doing. And I think he saw that, and through just several lunches and stuff like that. But it's like it was just kind of personality almost.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Here's my take on that. So the way you carry yourself, your personality, and you showed some hard skills too. I think those things all added up to like one word of trust. Like through vetting you through those things and managing his properties and seeing, okay, you're not a flake, you're intelligent, and you have people skills so that you can meet with his partners, his investors, whatever. That all adds up to, I trust this guy to start offloading my portfolio to him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's a massive learning curve, though. Like, it wasn't like I was successful immediately.
Sure.
I messed up. I mean, I started managing some build outs that I really dropped the ball on. I did some really good build outs too, and, you know, managing them and kind of GCing them. But I made several mistakes along, you know, the year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was. But yeah, trust, I think, it's, you know, probably a good, you know, word that got me into it.
And what's interesting is, like, I think everyone's path into, if it is commercial real estate, great. If it's just residential real estate, whatever. But everyone's path is going to look a little bit different. Like, no one's going to have marketing major, done the Army, you know. So, and like we already kind of summed up, you didn't have to have a master's in commercial real estate per se for this investor to trust you.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I will say too, that in my instance, there was a lot of some luck and some, you know, right place, right time type of stuff. But as far as like everyone has a different story, like, like I, you know, didn't have money in the bank to buy a 43,000 square foot building.
Right.
But, you know, he was offering owner financing. And I guess like if people watching this are trying to get into owning real estate as investment properties, that's an option to talk to the current homeowners. Say, what's your interest rate? Oh, it's a 3.9. Oh, that's great. I'll pay you 4.9, 5.9. And that's a good deal for them. You now own a piece of property without, you know, you know, depending on your deal.
Yeah.
So I bought this 43,000 square foot office building from him, and I didn't put any money down.
That's amazing.
So that is probably rare. I mean, I doubt people will find that type of deal out there. So like I said, there is a little luck. There's a little right place, right time. Consider him my boss and now more a partner, but yeah, he could afford that. You know, not everyone will.
And maybe in commercial real estate, it is more common. So in residential real estate, it's going to be almost impossible to find a seller that doesn't need anything up front for their single family home. But it is an option, and they are out there. So if you're trying to do that sort of thing, let us know, because some loans are assumable and some are not. So that doesn't work in some situations. Their bank will say, no, like, you're on the loan. I'm not trusting some other person, but others will. So it is a possibility. So now that you're in there, you're slowly, you know, buying this property through him and managing it at the same time. Mm-hmm. What does that day-to-day, like, managing look like?
So I self-manage it, and that day-to-day is, well, it's different every single day. A lot of it, so this past year, I've, been spending probably 30 hours a week on it, trying to fill it up. So I bought it at like 60% occupancy.
Okay.
And I have been putting all my time and energy to fill it up. So I kind of shopped around for brokers. So I tried to do it myself for a while. I tried to market it myself and kind of failed there. Then I started interview process of brokers. That was, you know, that took a couple of weeks, and we, you know, set up an open house. With a broker, a lot of the time it's managing, you know, renovations and build outs for these commercial spaces. Mm-hmm. I've done 3 of those this past year, totaling 15,000 square feet roughly. Wow. You know, doing different things, you know, renovations. I oversee pretty much all the renovations and build outs at my building. So kind of just acting as the GC and scheduling trades and contractors. And
how much of the build process and construction did you know coming into this?
Next to none. Once you get into this, you just, like, your network of contractors and people, it just grows so quickly.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, this guy knows the plumber knows an electrician knows a flooring guy, and the flooring guy. Then that's kind of how you build. And so I do that a lot day to day. I go to the building. I have an office suites unit that kind of has a lot of turnover with, you know, new small businesses coming in. You know, I probably have a new tenant, probably have 2 new tenants a quarter, 2 or 3 a quarter, and moving them in, talking with them. I do a lot of showings myself, but there's a lot of different things. The building's a much higher occupancy rate now, and eventually I'll stop going out there. You know, like I said, I was probably spending 30 hours a week, you know, working on it and thinking about it and devoting all my energy towards it. But
at this point, your occupancy, though,
it's going to be self-sufficient. I mean, it's about 90%, 95% now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'll stop. 30 hours a week will turn into 5, hopefully, maybe less.
So that's the goal.
Yeah, and you know, I'm starting to do several other things.
Yeah.
Expanding my portfolio and
So
other projects.
Sure. And I'll ask you more. Yeah, like where do you see yourself in 10 years? But real quick, kind of going back to that. So you had no construction experience. However, the cool thing about real estate is it allows you to bring your natural abilities and skills. So from the Army, you were used to following up with people kind of lower down the ladder from you, giving orders, checking in to make sure that they were done how you wanted. So you brought that skill set with you when you started to have to GC these projects. Yeah. And so I'm sure that
let people. I mean, like the one thing about the Army, there's literally every type of person, every stereotype, every every single person that you can imagine is in the Army.
All walks
different
of life.
Personalities, walks of life. And I mean the same thing with your contractors.
Sure.
It's like you're dealing with everybody and
anyone.
Yeah, it's it was very similar in that aspect. Yeah, That's a good point.
Yeah. So what is your goal from here on out? Like, what are you doing in 10 years from now?
Okay, so that one property, through that property, I met several other people in my boss/partners in network, and they've kind of incorporated me in their future, deals and investments. So I've kind of started a new project, a fairly large project, with several other partners. But
what is tell the viewers about it. I'm excited for you. It's pretty cool.
It's suburbs of Chicago. It's a multi-use. It's 15,000 square foot, 2-story. The first story is going to be commercial office. Second story is going to be, there's two-bedroom apartments, and this is like a downtown, like a cute downtown area right on the river in like a suburb of Chicago. Yeah. So it's like if you can imagine like the old cute, downtowns. First floor office, second floor two bedrooms, two-bedroom apartments, and then we're doing 7 studio Airbnbs, so like boutique hotel style.
Sweet.
Airbnb units. So it's very cool. It's a very interesting, fun project, but I started, working on that, the past several months. You asked where, I see myself. I love doing partnerships. It's so much more fun to be doing it with a partner. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to work with you out here. It's like, can be lonely at times, being a self-employed, real estate investor. Yeah. And like, if you're on your own, it's like, you don't have a team. And I had a team in the Army, and I was going to work every day and having camaraderie with people. So I see myself continuing to find partnerships with my friends, with people I've met in the industry, and continuing to expand. I love short-term rentals. I think those are great. I know everyone does now. They're becoming a little less popular, but I still love them. Yeah. So there's a bunch of things I have in mind, but just continuing to form partnerships and expanding the portfolio.
Cool.
Both residential and commercial.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. So I'd say in conclusion, if anyone has questions about wanting commercial or business space, let us know. As far as Mountain Buff, we can help you with that. And then if you're interested as far as a career in commercial real estate, let me know. I'll get you in touch with JT, and you guys can kind of chat about what that might look like for you and where you could get started. But other than that, thank you, JT, for coming on this. That's awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feel like a celebrity on a podcast.
No, the headphones tend to do that to people. Yeah. So, all right, thanks.